Dave Shawn is still with me, he's a comedian. Dave, we've been throughout the last couple of weeks been talking to people who've got in touch about their lockdown stories. We've heard so much about, and quite rightly, about the horrific death toll, over 100,000 now from COVID, but also the difficulties and just the trauma for those who've lost loved ones during this time from COVID, and also the hospital workers, the doctors and nurses who are dealing and working on those COVID wards. And gosh, we're in no way undermining those stories and the trauma there, but we've been with the view that actually this just hasn't been enough talked about, the trauma of lockdown. COVID is not a choice. Lockdown is a choice, and that whether those policies are doing more harm than good. And you've had yourself a very different and difficult lockdown experience, haven't you?
Yeah, well, obviously my dad died, and someone being self-employed and works in the arts haven't been able to work. So I think it's been difficult for everyone. But I do really salute that kind of giving the voice to the voiceless, because I think it's a really important thing.
Yeah, I mean that is the thing. Is it just to when people talk about well, why aren't you talking about what doctors and nurses are going through? Well, that talking about one story doesn't mean you're not thinking those other stories are equally valid.
Yes, completely. That's a false comparison. You can talk about both, but I also think that this sort of thing really gets me every time that I listen to these stories. It really does sort of set me off.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we've talked a lot about mental health and young people in particular being affected, and people who already having problems with their mental health. But often it's issues with business as well, and the absolute devastating effects of businesses being closed. Well, let's talk to my next guest now, who's Kirsten Percival, who got in touch. Good morning to you, Kirsten.
Good morning.
Now, you have a beauty salon, Deity Rose, and you, of course, you were ordered to close your salon back last March for the 3 weeks to flatten the curve. Tell us what's happened to you since then.
Well, we actually closed a few weeks before lockdown started because we were told that somebody was in contact with someone. So we've been closed longer than everybody else. And then we were told in July we could open again. So we went and spent a fortune on PPE, got the salon all ready. We had risk assessments done. And then a week later, I was contacted by the Environmental Health, who then told me I had to close again because of the mandatory mask, because it's faces I work on. Yeah. And the client couldn't take the mask off at all.
So you had to close again. And how much help have you had from all the various schemes the Chancellor has set up to help small businesses that have had to close?
Well, I got the first grant, which basically paid the rent and insurances for around 8 months.
Was it £10,000? Was the max? Yeah. So those grants, I mean, that was just literally a payment. You don't have to pay that back.
No, that's right.
So that covered the rent and the insurance for 8 months.
Yeah.
That time is kind of up now, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So how have you been paying it since? Have you taken out a loan? Because we know there's interest-free loans as well.
No, I was refused all of the bounce back loans. I didn't get any of that. So the money I had left in the bank account was paying everything else, basically. Yeah. And then I was told I could get an SEISS grant as well. Mm-hmm. So I applied for that and got that back, which was £80 to last me for 3 months, basically.
Okay, yeah, I'm not quite sure that's going to cover the costs, eh?
No,
I mean, almost laughable, I would say. But presumably, also, I mean, you spent money on the trip. You've got, as you say, you've got bills to pay. There's rent, there's utilities, insurance, all of that stuff. Presumably, also, you spent quite a lot of money, as many companies did, to get small businesses, particularly getting back on their feet when you were allowed to be open, on all that PPE, on the screens and all that.
Yeah,
it doesn't come cheap.
No, it was a good few £100 to get the salon open again in the first place. Yeah.
Now you're a single mum. You've got 3 girls. What ages are they?
20, 14 and 6.
Okay, so so all back at, well, 2 of them will be at home anyway, and all back at home. So how are you making it ends meet then?
Well, I'm actually on universal credit now, basically. So I've got that coming in, but I've still got the usual bills that I had when I had my business. I've still got my car to pay and all of the things that I've got storage to pay now for the the salon equipment because my salon's closed now, so I had to put everything somewhere. So
the salon, you've actually lost the salon site.
Yeah.
You had to and that was because you just couldn't see a route out.
Yeah, we kept getting told that things would be better. We were told because we were close contact services that something would be put in place for us to go back to work, but there's never been anything. We've just been put in and not really looked at. We've been kind of forgotten about, and I say that for all my colleagues in the same industry. We have been forgotten about.
Yeah, and have you ever been on benefits on universal credit before?
No.
So you've always worked all your life, put money on the table, paid your bills, worked hard. I mean, again, anyone who's set up a small business will know just how hard it is and the risks you've got to take, the hours you have to put in to get a business like that up and running. And you were doing well before lockdown?
Yeah. Well, I was starting to really pick up again because I stopped working when I had my kids for a little while, so got back up and running again and spent quite a lot of money on new courses to update my skills and equipment and things like that. So there was a lot of money went out. So I didn't really have much left when this happened because I was trying to better the business, basically.
You were investing in yourself and in your business and in supporting your family, and now you're basically on the dole trying to support 3 kids and not really getting any financial help. I mean, you live in Fife in Scotland. People can hear obviously a Scottish accent. I mean, what do you want to happen now? What do you want to hear from, whether it's Nicola Sturgeon in Scotland or from Boris Johnson in Westminster?
Well, there's a lot of the little businesses, the pubs and restaurants and things all closed now, and we can't see them opening again because it is a small community, so it's going to be really hard. I think we really need some more help, and we need to know a rough idea of what's the game plan, where are we going from here, because none of us know what's going on, and there's so many people really, really downhearted with everything that's going on. So
I mean, certainly Boris Johnson looking at this exit plan being announced. I mean, again, Nicola Sturgeon will have her own. They tend to go relatively hand in hand what's happening in the different parts of the UK, don't they? Yeah. But we're looking at pubs and bars and things and restaurants possibly not reopening until possibly June. I mean, it would seem unlikely that beauty salons would open much before that, if at all before that. I mean, even if you'd managed to keep your business afloat, I mean, you wouldn't survive until then, would you?
No, definitely not. We were the last to open the last time, so I would say we're going to be the last this time again. So we have no idea.
My heart goes out to you. It really does. You've done everything you can to, look after yourself, your family, and get a business going, and do all the right things. And I just think it's appalling that people should be losing their livelihoods like that. And again, when so many people are sitting there on furlough, but also that the people making all the decisions are all on full pay still. Thank you very much. Kirsten Percival in Fife in Scotland, really appreciate you joining us talking about that. Dave, are you listening to that? We're not talking about people. I mean, we've had guests on who are talking about children being suicidal. I mean, horrific things like that. But this is a woman who's done everything right. She's done everything right, and she's just been left high and dry. It's absolutely shocking, isn't it?
It really is, and it's so depressing. And the worst thing is that Kirsten's not alone. There's nearly 6 million small businesses, and each one is a different story. And the fact that she was given 80 quid to last 3 months, I mean, that's just ridiculous.
It's an insult. Let's be honest, it is an insult, isn't it?